Good morning, everybody. Today we have the privilege of discussing habit number 2 with you, which is entitled Begin with the End in Mind. So we're going to start with the activity that's in front of you. You see the 2 headstones. To start, just focus on the one on the left, and you're going to write your own epitaph, which is basically what you want inscribed on your tombstone after you die. And so for the one on the left, write down what you want your epitaph to say if you were to die 60 years from now.
I like the sound. 60 years from now.
On the left. 130.
Hey, watch it.
Coach Morris, oldest man who ever lived.
Yeah.
If you could just put your pencil down when you're done, so we know you're, and that would be great.
Okay, it looks like most of you have a few things written down at least. And now for the tombstone on the right, I would like you to write what it would say if you were to die tomorrow. Not what you want it to say, but if you look at your life right now, what people say about your life as you're 21 or 22.
Alright, it looks like most of you guys have something a little bit of both. Is anyone willing to share what they wrote on each of their headstones? I guess first with the one that you would like to have it say in 60 years, and then the comparison of what it would say tomorrow. Be proactive. Noah?
Alright, so the one 60 years from now is faithful, dedicated, and passionate about the Lord's work in all areas of his life, and a good climber, hopefully. And then on the right, it says passionate climber, easy to talk to, and likes to start races, ...
Okay. So the question there is, what habits are you forming now, today, that will lead people to say what you want them to say about you in 60 years once you've passed on? And this is not just a question for Noah, it's a question for the class. What are you working on, and what can you work on now to achieve what you want? To become the kind of person that you want to be known as when you die, hopefully not tomorrow.
Also, question for how many of you were the left and your right completely different? If I could raise the hands, that would be awesome. Like, was what you wanted to say tomorrow and what it would say different? Or were they more or less the same? It's different? Different.
So this is just a reminder that what you want to remember, what you want to be remembered by needs to be something that's part of your life, for your life, and not just for right when you die. Because the person that you are is who you are your whole life. It needs to be a principle, not circumstantial.
So people who get to the end of their lives and you see these great things written about them, loving father, great husband, always gave to others. These are things that these people chose to exhibit throughout their life, and we just heard about being proactive. So this is something that they proactively decided, this is who I want to be, whether it's when I die tomorrow or in 45 years after a nice long life. This is what I want to be remembered by. So I'm going to start making decisions today so that 20 years down the road, this is who I am, because that just doesn't happen overnight. It takes a willful decision on each of our parts, because if we just go through our life living reactively to our circumstances or to what other people say about us, then that's all what we'll ever be. We'll be tied to what other people think about us or to what's happening in our life, rather than choosing what we want each day to look like. And when you choose what is going to guide your life, what values will guide your life, then eventually, after making those small decisions over a long period of time, you eventually turn into a person who is guided by those values, and that's what people are going to remember you by.
And so kind of what Cam alluded to was having the references or values. And we kind of, the idea of this was to get values that you want to be seen as at the end of your life, 60, 80, whatever it is, years down the road, and live by those and use those as references for your actions, so you're not, reactive. You are thinking ahead. You're like, okay, if I go downtown with my friends tonight, what could happen? What I want to happen, you can still go downtown, there's no reason not to, but set your intentions prior to going down. And that's kind of the idea, is use it as a way of predetermining what's going to happen or what you want to get out of something, rather than, looking back and saying, oh, I wish I'd gotten this, or having a regret. And something from Covey is, typically as people we are very efficient, but not very effective. We're good at accomplishing things quickly, but it's not always the right things that we're pursuing. So, it's really hard to plan ahead sometimes, but it's easier to plan ahead than take 3 steps backwards and then get to start again.
So an example from the book is, it's like climbing a ladder against the wrong wall. So if all you're aiming for is going up, and you're not aimed at the destination that you want to be at, and you're just going up, then when you get to the top and you realize this is where I want to be, you have to go back down, put your ladder against the other wall, and start the climb all over again. And which is obviously a lot more work, but if you start your task with the end in mind, something I was thinking of this morning is, we had our team goal setting at Brett's house a couple weeks ago, and GSAC is at the end of April. I don't remember the exact day right now, but Brett sat us down and he said, the men's team has won GSAC for the last 7 years, and we're going to win it again this year. And that's our team goal. And every day we're working towards that, and if we were just working on getting faster, but we didn't have that goal in mind, we'd get to GSAC and we wouldn't be ready, even if we put training in. If we're not focused on that, it doesn't have the same outcome. So having that end goal in mind is really important.
All right, so we're going to pass these out to you, and these are kind of little reminders for what I'm about to talk about, little guiding pieces. So today we covered the importance of moving forward with the end goal in mind. And this helps ensure that we're pursuing the things we want, but also coinciding with the values and the morals that we believe in and that we want to be remembered by. It allows for a clear direction, especially if you script and write things out, and it helps you get there a little faster and more efficiently. Covey said, management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. I'll read that again. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. So, a leader, you have captains, you don't have captains, but anyone can be a leader if they're doing the right things. So in front of you, we kind of handed out guidelines for what it might look like to begin with the end in mind. And we also have a challenge for you. So we challenge you to take the bull by the horns and write down your 3 biggest fears, as well as the 3 values you want to live by. It could be anything, but our goal is that by naming your fears, they can lose some power, and you can also recognize what those are. And to look at your core values, those are things that you can recognize, have written down, and hold yourself accountable to live for the rest of your life. And if you can't think of anything great right now, that's okay, you don't have to write that. That's kind of our challenge for the next week, is to just think about those things, because those are huge, especially for people moving forward. Yeah, sorry, so it was the 3 things, 3 of your biggest fears, and 3 values that you want to live by. Preferably not afraid of snakes. Is everyone getting there still? And if you don't have anything, that's okay. You can try and do it on your own. So going off of that challenge, I'd like for each and every one of you to make that list and kind of keep it somewhere where you're going to see it a couple times a day, whether it's on your desk, in front of a mirror, just somewhere where you're going to be reminded of those things. Always face your fears, but also have your values and your intentions higher above. And look at those things every day, so that you can live your life, to the fullest and approach those things in an aggressive manner. Do you have any questions on what to do? Anything like that?
More questions on the style?
Or on the style?
Just go like this.
Wouldn't have it.
So you guys talked a lot about kind of having this end goal, if you will, and keeping that in mind, whereas I know in our capstone class and other classes we are part of, they're always talking about sometimes it's foolish to look ahead to the future because we don't know what's going to happen, And I think that's one thing I really struggle with personally, because I feel like I always need to live by this, I always need to have something to look forward to. I always need to have something that motivates me to work hard, in the now, in the present. So how would you kind of prioritize or differentiate what it means to live in the present and enjoy that versus constantly thinking about your future and what you want to do? If that question's like super long. I know it's super long, but...
So one thing I would say is, I kind of been struggling with that too, because it's almost like polar opposites, it seems sometimes. But I like to think of it as, you picture the end goal as where you want to be, and this is kind of the values or what you want to live by, almost like a timeline is how I view it, and steps along the way. Because obviously, yeah, you know, we all want to be here someday. I want to be a physical therapist in my own practice with a wife and 3 kids, whatever that is. But yeah, that's daunting to look forward to, and I think taking the little steps now that you have, you know, going outside and choosing to study the extra 15 minutes today, whatever it might be, recognizing those little things and holding to those values, kind of the point we were trying to make was use those values for now, but also carry them throughout later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it helps. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Maybe another provoking question about this book. How it seems to be very westernized ideology in the sense of what is for the audience of it. But what if you come from a different culture that doesn't believe in what we do as Americans or Westerners? Like, we have an end goal, work for it. They tend to like live day by day. How could they apply without really assimilating into this culture from your own perspective? Because I think we're all, you know, liberal arts, we're all learning about different things. So from a different perspective, kind
So
of challenging.
to keep in mind, this is a practice, and so obviously each day we live our life in the present tense. But this is a practice to say, think about, just envision your mind however long down the road where you think you want it to be, and then it's basically so that you can figure out what you truly value in life. So there's, on the handout we gave you in the middle, I think it says principles and a whole range of things around it. And so your principles will guide how you react to different things in life. And so this practice will help you figure out what you value in life, because a lot of us don't sit down and take the time to say, what do I actually care about in life? And this can help you figure those things out, so that in your day-to-day life, when decisions come your way, you can go back and think, no, I value being a good friend, I value being honest, I value being a faithful friend. So then you can use those things in your day-to-day life, but you think about the end goal to figure out what those will be.
So, can you, I guess, I really liked your question. I was curious if you could push a little further in the sense of like, so you went to Uganda, is that kind of what you were thinking of when you were talking about it?
Yeah, Uganda and like even like subcultures here, like the homeless and stuff like that, they tend to live day by day. Yes, you can argue that a lot. Some of them do have a goal and not like an end goal in mind. I think you can do it there, but it's not what have I observed. It was more that they live day by day in the sense of their goal is for that day. Their end goal is for that day, and not so much focusing on this big picture. It's more like, all right, like for example, their testimony, ours, if you come here to Christian college or you're in church, the testimony is like the whole life long thing. Over there, their testimony is what happened that day. What exactly their testimony is that, and that like kind of turned me on, like, whoa, what is this? And so I've noticed talking to my Ugandan friends, talking to homeless people as well, and different people from different cultures within America as well. They're saying, when I ask them like, so like, what is your goals? They're like, I don't know, today I focus, I want to do this, and then tomorrow I'll think of something else when that day comes. And I guess we can observe and like, I guess assess like maybe their end goal is this, but they're not thinking that fully, and yet they're still successful and efficient in life. And I'm just wondering.
I like that point, because I think what we did here was obviously extreme, you know, like end of life. That's pretty wild. And I think it's a pretty important thing to go with the intention, sure, of like a homeless person or someone in a different culture who lives, my goal today is to get enough food to make it through to tomorrow. You know, they have similar, I wouldn't say similar, but aspirations that we do have, but we take for granted, right? You know, we all want to get through the day, get a good night's sleep, be in a safe place, wake up tomorrow and move forward. So yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that it's so different, but it's also so similar in a way because of the way that they can have a smaller scale. Everyone can have a smaller scale. Looking at a shorter term end goal. You know, for us, you could say the end of this, or half of this, by midterms, I want these grades. Or, you know, by the end of this week, I want to have ran a certain amount of miles, or scored a certain amount of runs, whatever it was. You know, I think the end goal doesn't have to be an ultimate or an ultimatum. It can be something that varies, and you pick your end goal, and I think that's what's so neat about it. And these are just kind of ways to look at that.
I get it now, thank you.
Thanks for question.
Any other questions? All right, thank you guys.